You lace up your shoes, get out the door, and put in a hard 45 minutes every single day. You sweat and push your limits, yet your race times haven't improved in months. This plateau happens because of execution drift. Going truly slow feels unproductive, while going all out is physically painful. Most athletes naturally gravitate toward a moderately hard effort that feels like work. When every workout is treated like a mini race, you end up spending roughly 80% of your training week in the gray zone. This intensity creates a specific physiological trap. It generates enough chronic fatigue to leave your legs heavy, making you too tired to sprint effectively, but you are moving too fast to allow for actual recovery. Living in that moderately hard middle ground keeps your body in a state of constant, low-level stress that actively neutralizes long-term fitness gains. This chart shows the 3-zone model used in clinical exercise physiology. It is much simpler than the 5-zone breakdowns often found on consumer smartwatches. Zone 1, the green area, sits below your first lactate threshold, or LT1. At this intensity, you can breathe comfortably through your nose. This is where your body builds its aerobic baseline and handles recovery. Above that is Zone 2, the yellow section. This is the tempo pace sitting between LT1 and your second lactate threshold, LT2. It feels comfortably hard, and this is where most execution drift occurs. Once you cross the LT2 boundary, you enter the red section, Zone 3. This is severe effort, where blood lactate levels climb rapidly, and you can only sustain the pace for a few minutes. Think of these zones like a financial budget. Zone 1 is your savings account, slowly building long-term wealth. Zone 3 is a luxury purchase you can only afford occasionally. Zone 2 is your overhead. It's necessary for specific race prep, but spending too much there drains your energy reserves without building new interest. Successfully following any training plan requires you to accurately identify and respect these 3 boundaries in your own body. The threshold model concentrates effort in the middle. You spend about half of your time at an easy pace and the other half at a tempo effort, with almost no time spent on high-intensity sprinting. This approach is common for athletes with severe schedule constraints, like busy parents or professionals who can only spare 3 to 4 hours a week. A typical session might be a 45-minute lunch break run, 10 minutes easy, 25 minutes at a steady tempo, and 10 minutes to cool down. This model forces significant adaptation in a short window, but it creates a high level of systemic fatigue. Studies show that soccer players and runners training at high heart rates for prolonged periods face a much higher risk of injury. While effective for limited schedules, scaling this model beyond 5 hours a week often leads to overtraining symptoms like insomnia or a loss of physical motivation as the fatigue outpaces your recovery capacity. The pyramidal model shifts the focus, spending 70% of the week at an easy pace, 20% at tempo, and a final 10% at high intensity. This is the standard for dedicated amateurs training between 5 and 8 hours a week. This distribution requires shifting volume away from pure sprinting and into moderate, race-specific tempo efforts. In practice, this often means taking a long Saturday ride or run and inserting sweet spot or race pace blocks into the middle of an otherwise easy effort. This model effectively prepares the body for the sustained demands of half marathons or long cycling events, provided you have the discipline to keep that 70% base truly easy. For most recreational athletes, the pyramidal model offers the most sustainable balance of durability and speed. Panel C on this chart shows the polarized model, often called the 80-20 rule. It focuses on the extremes. 80% of the week is very easy, almost 0% is tempo, and 20% is high-intensity interval work. Execution requires spending the vast majority of your week moving slowly to ensure you are fresh enough for a small dose of high-intensity work. On interval days, you might perform 4-minute blocks at 95. These are intense, gasping efforts, but they are followed by several days of very slow recovery. This method maximizes VO2 max and raw speed, while keeping systemic fatigue low by avoiding the gray zone entirely. However, recent research suggests this model works best at high volumes, usually over 8 to 10 hours a week, where the body needs that 80% slow time to recover from the massive total workload. A time-crunched athlete copying an elite polarized plan might spend 3 hours a week jogging slowly, which often fails to provide enough total stress to actually trigger fitness improvements. Sports science research is currently focused on the gap between what is written in a training plan and how athletes actually perform those sessions. A typical case is an athlete heading out for a 90-minute easy run in Zone 1, but deciding to push the pace for the final 15 minutes because they feel good. That 15-minute drift instantly changes a polarized week into a pyramidal or threshold week on paper. Many athletes end up with a messy, moderate middle that sabotages intended results simply because they lack the discipline to stay in the correct zone. Choosing a model starts with a realistic audit of your calendar, not a perfect scientific formula. If you train under 5 hours a week, use the threshold or pyramidal models to ensure your body receives enough stimulus to adapt. If you have 5 to 8 hours available, the pyramidal model effectively builds a durable engine without overtraining. If you train consistently over 8 hours a week, the polarized model allows you to manage that massive volume safely. Matching the model to your actual availability is the most reliable way to ensure your body continues to adapt without crashing. These models are often phases of a single training year. This is known as periodization. You might spend months in a pyramidal base phase to build strength, then shift to a polarized model 6 weeks before a race to sharpen your top-end speed while ensuring your legs are fresh. The underlying principle for every successful athlete, regardless of their model, is to respect the zone boundaries. If easy days drift into moderate days, your high-intensity sessions will become less effective. You will end up trapped back in the exhausted gray zone. True speed is built by having the discipline to go slowly when the plan requires it, so you have the energy to reach your maximal effort when it counts.